Hi, Kathy here from kathyskutekreations with, of course, the Fort Worth Fabrics Studio Sew-Along. This is the Simply Summer Table Runner, and you should be able to print out 2 pages. It's going to be telling you what the fabrics are. This is week 1, and it is the cutting. We're going to be cutting week 2 and 3, and here's our fabric. And then let me tell you what I'm going to do. So all I did was I looked at the fabric, started with 1, put it on the bottom, put this one on top of this one on that one on that one, and just all the way through. So I have a stack like this. I'm going to show you here. Just like this. This is the first one, fabric A. And then fabric B, and I'm going to go over here and I'm going to iron all these and I'm going to lay them out. Now I do have a rack. It's a drying rack for clothes, and I normally have it hanging on that, but I got something else on that rack. So all I'm going to do is drape them over the chair where I have my table runner from the, I'm trying to think which one it was, 2 table runners ago, because this is the last table runner we did here, and I do not have it quilted. I have the other one quilted. I just have to put the binding on it. So let me go ahead and we're going to iron them all. Then we're going to slowly cut all this fabric this week. So let me show you what I'm doing here, because it's not telling us which weeks this is in, which is what it normally does. So what I did was, and remember now there's only 2 weeks. There's week 2 and there's week 3. Week 1 is all the cutting. So for the very first one here, I went ahead and I took 3 of these little posted things, and the first one says we're going to cut 9. These are 5 3/4 by 5 3/4 squares. That's what 75 is. It's 3/4. Just think of 3 25-cent pieces. Okay, so almost 6, but 5 3/4. So I wrote it down here. We're going to cut 9 of them, 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. And when I look up here, it says week 2 are the 9 pieces. Then when I go down here, and it says from the remaining fabric, this is fabric number A, which is the white, we're going to cut 2 pieces that are 34.5, so that's 34.5 by 1.5, 1.5 inch strips. Then we're going to cut 4 that are 10.5 by 1.5. Well, when you go up here, it's not on week 1, because the only thing for A is the top piece. So it must be week 3. I'm at week 2 up here, I'm sorry. So A for week 3 is right there. So on my little piece of paper, I wrote week 3 to keep them straight. So now I'm going to cut the fabric. So I went ahead and I squared it up, so I took my right side and made sure it was cut off, which you've seen in a lot of videos. So the first thing you're going to be thinking about is that and I folded this in half so that you know. Let me show you here the whole thing. It's in half here on the table. So your first thought, if you're inexperienced, and I've already had this thought and I've ruined my fabric by thinking this way, is that I would take this smaller end here and then I would measure 5 3/4 in and take it off. But think about it. If you do that, you've lost the entire length, which it told you on the second piece, or second directions. Let's bring the directions back here so you can refresh your memory. So it's telling you the first thing they want you to do is cut 9 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. So you can get, and now then when you look at the second one, and this is why you need to read all the directions for just that specific fabric, because they want us to cut 2 strips that are 34.5 length. Okay, so 34.5, we need to have a lot of this fabric here. And if we chopped it off at the bottom, we're making our fabric smaller and smaller. So reread the directions so that you understand before you do any kind of cutting, because I don't want you to end up cutting too much of your fabric. Measuring out 5 3/4, and then we're going to, and this is crazy, we're going to be subcutting them, because we're going to turn around and it'll be long, and then we'll get 5 3/4, 5 3/4, 5 3/4 until we get 9 of them. So let's do that first. And I have a weight on my end here so it doesn't slide on me. And I have my cutter. go. Oops, I got a little piece here I didn't get. And let's see how many we can get just out of this. Pretty sure. Let's see. Do I have a 5 3/4? I think I do have a ruler like that. So here is a 6-inch ruler. So 5 3/4 is right here, where my thumb is at. And if you need to put washi tape to mark it so that you've got it, that's fine too. Now keeping in mind this is folded, so this is 2 pieces each. So I'm just going to go down here and see how many I can get out of here. I'm not cutting it, I'm just doing a sample. So there's 5 3/4 right there. So we'll go down here, 5 3/4, so that's 2, 4. I've got 6, but keep this in mind. If you start at the bottom, and which is where the split is here, where the fabric is folded over on itself, right here. We'll cut off the selvage first, then you'll get 1 extra piece out of here. And let me show you what I mean. This is why I say you need to think about your fabric while you're cutting it. You'll get more uses out like this. So here it starts right here. And let me get a pin so I can show you here. All right, so here's what I've done. I measured 5 3/4 and put a pin. 5 3/4, put a pin. 5 3/4 again, I'm going to put another pin. This is as if I had cut it. That's what I'm doing. So that gave us 2, 4, 6. And then when we open this, and I'll have to do it this way because I can't open it since I pinned it. Well, let's just measure it and we'll go from there. So if I put my ruler down here, let's go with 1. So we're measuring from 1 over. This is 3, almost 3 1/4. Well, 3 1/4 plus 3 1/4 is more. Think about it, 3 plus 3 is 6 inches. We only need 5 3/4. So just out of this one strip, we're gonna get 2, 4, 6, 7. We need 9. So then all we have to do is take this fabric, instead of going and doing the entire strip like we just did, just take it like this and do 2 of them. But actually, I'm gonna go ahead and do my strips first because I don't have an issue with all these strips. I know I can get 2 more, but I'll go ahead and do my thin strips and have that out of the way. Now this is the way I'm doing it. You all don't have to do it my way. This is the way that I'm going to do it. This is the way my brain works. Next thing that it says to do is to cut a 1 1/2 inch strip. We're going to make the length of this 1 1/2, and we need 2 of them. So I'll take my ruler and I'll go 1 1/2, just like this. And you know, I like to see it on the fabric. So 1 1/2. I'm going to cut 2 of them. We have 1. And we're going to do it again. 1 1/2. Right there. Oops. I know these scissors are sharp, so I must not put enough pressure on it. So there's 2 of my strips. I'll set them aside. And then it wants 4 10 1/2 by 1 1/2. I'm going to go down here. Let's see, 1 1/2. I'm not going to have it. So let's do our others. Now what I've done is I laid it lengthwise. Now remember, all I got so far is I went in and I cut these strips, so I have 6. This is out of the first strip. 2, 4, 6, and 1 extra. Okay, I set them aside. I have the 2 strips for the 2 34 1/2 by 1 1/2. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut the remaining since I have 7, I need 2 more, so I'm going to cut 2 5 3/4. So I'm going to turn this around and do 5 3/4. Actually, I need to turn my fabric around here. Let's see if I can get it up there. 5 3/4, since I'm right-handed. Let's go. You can see my fabric right on there. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 3/4. That line would be the 6. And then I have to take, because it's, see if I can, okay, so I've got it cut on this side, and this side, so 3 sides are straight. And now I need to do the 4th side. Go. So now I have 9. Now I need to do my strips. So here's where my fabric is folded, right here. So I'm going to lay it like this, 1 1/2. And it wants 4 of these. And it wants them to be 10 1/2. And keep in mind, okay, so this ruler right here, this one here is 12 1/2. Well, we already know we're going to get 2 pieces out of this strip. Okay? So it looks like they allowed for, looks like Fort Worth Fabric City allowed for you to cut it on the other end in case you were not paying attention and accidentally cut it wrong. So we really don't need to cut 4. We can cut 2 because each piece is going to give us 2. Does everybody understand that? If I cut 1 1/2 here, which is what it wants a 1 1/2 inch rectangle by 10 1/2. And this ruler is 12 1/2. We already know that this piece of fabric here, because we can see both ends of it, is more than 12 1/2. So we're going to get 2 cuts just by cutting this once. So first I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut it. Cut it. There's 1 piece. Okay, let's move this up. This room here. Set that aside. Now I'm going to measure down here. And I'm going to show you. Let's make sure we're in the camera here so everybody gets to see it from one end to the other. Here's my ruler. We'll go down to 10 1/2 right here, right there. So, and here we have 2 of them that are 10 1/2, right like that. And we only need 4, so here's 2. Take the other piece, do the same thing to it. And then I put my little sticky piece on it. And then I pin it. And I've already got week 3 written on it. So that's that one. I need to put a pin on here. If it's too big and I can't get my pin through it, then I'll just put clips on it. And then I'm going to set it aside and I'll fix the weeks in a minute. So that was that. And this is how much fabric I have left over. And then here is the tail end. The tail end of our fabric. Right here. Okay, and that is, let's see how wide that is. So let's start with this here. I can go as far out because I'm going to go down to the bottom where it would be squared up. So I've got a 4-inch right there. And a lot of squares are 4 inches, so that's a pretty good piece of fabric left over. All right, let's start with the next one. Right, now it's time for the next one, which is fabric B, which is this real pretty green. And it is a 3 cuts of 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. So if you're looking on your pattern, you're going to see B, C, D, E, F, and G are all going to be 5 3/4. It's just the amount that change. B and C are 3, D is 4, E is 2, F is 2, and G is 1. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do that. Now I don't wanna make this video too long. Now some people like to keep the salvage right here. And if you do, you need to be thinking in the terms of, if you're gonna keep this salvage and you're gonna actually use it for something, which a lot of people will do, then you wanna add a 1/4 inch to it so that you've got that 1/4 inch to sew. Now I'm not saving my salvages for anything. I'm going to measure on this side here, since I'm going to cut it on this side. So I'm going to line up this and this. First I'm going to get it on 5 3/4. And I'm going to make sure that I put I want my little lines right on that fabric. So there's 5 3/4. Now I'll have to straighten this because I didn't do the long end. So there we go. Keep in mind, this is the end that's straight up here and this here. And it should line up all the way, and it does. So 5 3/4. Did I go all the way off of there? I didn't think I did. Here we go. There's 1. And we just got to do 3. So. Okay, and then we'll do the next color. And we'll just continue. And this is what we have left right here. I have these 3 pieces. All right, and I'll put them up there. And I've already marked all the weeks. I went ahead and I wrote, let me show you on my paper here. I'm just gonna hold it up for you. I went ahead and added down here at the bottom the fabric color. Alrighty. And that's it. And I'll set it aside on this design board that I have set up. Alrighty, so when you're done, you will have all of your fabric cut out, or if you cut it out by weeks, this is week 2. So you'll have the white square here, and then all of these, and then you will have week 3 here. Now, I'm not looking at the pattern and I haven't viewed it, so I'm gonna guess that these are gonna be half square triangles based on the amount of them. I'm not sure, but I'm just guessing. If they are, then I'm gonna show you how to hold on to those tips and not lose them. So that's it for this video and this week, and join me for week 2 next Monday. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, make a comment, subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you next week. Thanks everybody for watching. Bye-bye.